banking industry has a new faceless threat, the cybercriminal, with hackers recently stealing almost $1 billion from banks in 30 countries in what has been called an unprecedented cyber robbery. Paolo, one would have thought banks have the best online security in the world. How did this happen?
They have the best defenses, but the ability of criminals to develop advanced malware is much stronger than the defenses that banks can implement. Traditional defenses are based on static models. They need to discover a threat, and the countermeasures are developed consequently. But criminals may study new ways of evading defenses that absolutely can be detected by normal technologies such as antiviruses.
So how much of a threat is cybercrime to the financial industry, and who is mainly targeted?
In the past, the main targets were the bank customers, because criminals have the interest to steal their credentials and use their credential, for instance, for illegitimate transactions. In this case, the target was directly the banks. The criminals were able to study how the internal procedures of the banks worked and to use the weaknesses in the procedures to steal the money. In many ways, even from withdrawals from ATMs or even using SWIFT to transfer money on accounts in China. But there's completely a new way to act. In this case, for the first times, a modus operandi normally used for cyber espionage has been used against a bank.
So how did they do it exactly?
The entry point of the attack in many cases is always the same, is the human being. They sent some, we call them spear phishing emails. In this case, the initial phase of the attack was a wave of these emails. The user clicked on it, of course. Once you click on this malicious email, the attachment exploits a vulnerability in your computer. The vulnerability allows the criminal to take possession of your machine. They were looking for users with high privileges inside the organization because they wanted to study how the internal structure of the bank worked, so that they can study how the procedures worked, and they can find the weaknesses, the vulnerabilities, and use the same procedures to steal the money. They were able to transfer money in China using SWIFT. They were able to instruct ATM machines to dispense money to money mule, normal people. They just wait in front of the ATM machine, and once the transaction is done, they get the money and go away.
Well, the majority of targets of this heist were in Russia. Why Russia? And does security differ between countries?
There's a big security difference. Let's say that normally the criminals are divided into two groups: the Russian guys and the Chinese guys. The Russian guys, they want to steal money and they want to prove to the Western people that they are smart. They brag when they are able to steal money to the Americans or to the Europeans. They are happy about that. The Chinese style is completely different. They look for intellectual property.
Cybercriminals really do seem to always be one step ahead of us. How can we solve this?
It's a kind of a chess match. They do the first move, of course. By definition, they are in a kind of advantage because they know they are attacking, so they know the first move. Who must implement the defenses, of course, plays a reactive role. We are trying to develop technologies that are heuristics. They can try to understand anomalous things, even they don't know it.
When you think of banks, you think of an impenetrable vault. But as now everything is virtually online, and this kind of situation really does make you lose trust in a way. So is now the time to start stashing the cash under the mattress again?
For me, that I'm Italian is the best way, but no, jokes aside, nothing is impenetrable. It's not only a matter of bank. Even when you do a transaction to buy something on an e-commerce site, it's a threat. If you think, for instance, that the biggest hacks of 2014 were against e-commerce industries such as Target, Home Depot, etc., you know that you can never be intrinsically safe.
Are there any telltale signs for the layman to see when their bank might have been compromised and not to click on this certain link or that?
For attacks of this kind, the user can't do anything. And in my opinion, unfortunately, this is the first, but won't be the last. The problem of this kind of things is that they are discovered only when they have happened. So probably in this moment there are at least 2 other operations like this ongoing.